Hi, Fems. I am Violette, Ayala, the founder of FemCity, and you are joining me today for a great panel conversation. We are diving into our theme for October, removing blocks. I am a huge fan of this topic. Why are you asking? Why am I such a huge fan of this topic? Because I had so many blocks. So I know what it's like to have blocks. I know what it's like to be on the hamster wheel and like running, and not seeing any results. I know what it's like to be fatigued, exhausted, tired, thinking I've tried everything and nothing has moved me forward. And it wasn't until I realized that I had these subconscious, unconscious blocks that were holding me back. So I'm a huge fan of this conversation. I can talk about it all the time. And today I have asked 3 of our FemCity experts from our Founders Circle program to join me. If you are joining me live, which I see some of you hopping on, you can ask questions. We're here for you collectively. We want you to move forward. We want you to remove your blocks. We want to see you live a happy and prosperous life. If you're watching the replay, which I know so many of you do on the weekends, you can always reach out to any of us right here. We want the best for you. So you can always reach out to us if you have any questions or if you want us to dive in a little bit more in certain areas. So let's go ahead and get started. We have Amy Woods who's joining us today. This is her first time being a panelist with FemCity. We're so excited that you're here. Amy, share a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Amy Woods, like she said, and I'm a women's empowerment coach, and I help women who have gone through a traumatic event after their trauma to rediscover themselves and what they're passionate about.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Judith Richey, I'm sure you guys know who she is, but Judith, just share a little bit about yourself for those that don't know you or maybe need a little reminder.
Hi, everybody. I'm Judith Richey. I'm a force for transformation. I'm a spiritual and intuitive transformative healer. And what that means is that I specifically work with women entrepreneurs who are finding that they're just not living their dream life. So we get to what's underneath why you're not living your dream life and get that healed and taken care of.
Awesome. Thank you. And Shalini, take it away.
Hi, everybody. I'm Shalini Dharna. I'm a chartered professional accountant, and I focus on financial literacy for small business owners. I want to make you love your numbers.
I love that. Yeah. And we just talked about that. I was in Roanoke last week and I spoke about finances and wealth mindset and how to change from a poverty mindset to a wealth mindset. And that was one of the things I harped on is you've got to fall in love with your numbers. I'm so happy that you mentioned that. That could be a whole other class that we do for our femmes because it's a great topic. All right, so let's dive in today. So we're going to be talking about removing blocks. And again, I want to make sure that we are giving you everything that you need to remove the blocks. You may not realize you have blocks right now. You may just be thinking like things are just not working out. They're not grooving. They're not flowing. Doesn't matter what I do. I'm not seeing the results show up. So hopefully you find the solution and the answers with our segment today. So I'm going to ask Amy first. Amy, what is your best advice for those that are removing blocks when it comes to money?
My first advice would be this is just my personal opinion, to not use the word block. A lot of times it's that we need to refocus on the end game. One thing, that I love about the law of attraction is that desperation cancels manifestation. And it's so true because you lose the intention of what it is that you're after. So if you find yourself in that situation, because a lot of times when we're grasping, especially as a new business owner, a lot of times when we're grasping, I got to get that money, we're losing the focus of exactly what we're doing. And you can feel confused. Oh, I got to try this. I got to try that. Instead, just take a minute, breathe, and don't react to your emotions, but respond with intention. Ask yourself 4 layers deep. What's your intention? Okay. So for instance, I want 2 sales this week. Well, what's my intention behind wanting that? So I can help more clients. Well, what's my intention behind that? Because I don't want them to suffer and, feel lost in their life. Well, what's my intention about that? Because I feel everybody has that right to be happy. And it takes your focus away from that money. And really you can, for the online entrepreneurs, you can take that and use that for your content because you're not focusing on selling.
Yeah. So in essence, you're saying to focus on the service aspect of your business versus like And then if you focus on the service aspect of it, the money will come. But you have to focus on the service part of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Because when you're focusing on helping people and servicing them and what it is you're passionate about, sales just automatically show up.
Yeah. And I think that's also a good place. Like when you start thinking about the service aspect of it and you're seeing things still kind of getting stuck, asking, as you were saying, intentional, like being intentional with your thought, asking yourself what's really happening here energetically, because it could be, I know I had, when I was working on removing my blocks, I had a block that was so deep. It was, if I made money, people wouldn't like me, or if I made money, it meant I was a bad person. So if you find yourself in that narrative, going back to Amy's advice, being intentional with your thoughts, thinking about where is that, like what's really happening with my thoughts that might be leading into not being able to see that money coming up. And then again, focusing on the service aspect of it, because I know we get caught into just the money aspect, but focusing on the service aspect of it, showing up and serving, giving everything I have when it comes to an Instagram reel, which Judith is so great at. Just showing up in that way, then the energy starts to shift. So excellent. All right, let's go to Judith. Judith, what is your number one advice for removing blocks when it comes to money and revenue?
So y'all have already alluded to it a little bit, and I love the way this conversation is going. And by the way, I just want to give this little footnote. I was also a financial advisor for 8 years. So I have a unique perspective when it comes to the healing spiritual side of the world and also living in that world too on revenue blocks. Our thoughts carry energy. And the patterns that we live in, the stories that we tell ourselves carry energy. So my number one piece of advice is for you to connect with, and it's going to sound counterintuitive, but connect with the negative energies that you're carrying around your revenue and what is actually preventing you from reaching those goals that you've set for yourself. If you haven't had a 4-figure month, why not? If you haven't had a 5-figure month, why not? And oftentimes those come from generational, familial, societal stories that we're told that we take on and we make our own. My mother had a saying that I had to really work to release, and it was part of one of my money blocks and around marketing to get my name out there. And her saying was, fools' names like fools' faces always appear in public places. So when you look at people who are marketing themselves, they're out there in public places, right? And when you're an entrepreneur, what do you have to do? You self-market, right? And if you don't self-market, you don't get some of the revenue. So that was a big one for me to get over my revenue blocks, was sitting down and listening to what are those repeating patterns that are showing up in my life? What are those sayings that I'm hearing? There's a Bible quote that's very misquoted, and it's money is the root of all evil. That's not the quote. The quote is the love of money is the root of all evil. And I even had to get past that and learn to love money too. And so when you can go into that space of awareness, and I like doing a T-chart. I just put a line across the top and a line down the middle, and I write down the negative limiting belief and pattern, and then I write the energetic opposite of that. And so how can I change that? The love of money is the root of all evil to I love money and money serves me. It is simply a tool. So that is my one piece of advice. Take those things and then switch it and do the energetic opposite of it and start adopting those into your life.
Okay, so I wrote down a bunch of notes. All right, so I actually love that you said, why not? I love that it's an open-ended question that we have to answer in many words versus like, do you have a block? Yes or no? You know what I mean? Like, well, it's like, yeah, I have one. And now so what? So I love that why not? That open-ended question allows your higher self or your energy to kind of just start working through what those blocks are. And I love that exercise too, of the T, and reframing it from the negative into what you currently believe into the new mantra, if you will. And I love that you mentioned also like repeating patterns, because that's how I was able to discover my own. I was constantly, increasing my wealth, but then it would stop at a certain area. And I was like, why is it stopping here? And it's the repeat pattern that you mentioned. It's that repeat over and over and over again, where I realized there's something here. If I keep going, and I stop at this place, there's something going on, and diving in a little bit deeper. And then the sayings and the mantra. What was the quote that your mom said again? That was so popular.
Fools' names like fools' faces always appear in public places.
I've never heard that.
So that was so hard for me to overcome when I started self-promoting. And as entrepreneurs, that's a huge part of our business is self-promoting. I'm done with it now, but it was fascinating because I can remember driving through town in the car and seeing a billboard for somebody in town and her saying those words. And it was just startling to me that as a grown woman, I was still carrying around that scarcity mentality, that prideful mentality, that, oh, you don't want to be that person kind of mentality. And I was like, no, I do want to be that person. I want everybody to know who I am. Everybody who's supposed to know who I am. Let me put it that way. I want them to all know me. So it's fascinating when we dig down and allow ourselves to just be in awareness and to hear those things come through, what's actually, running us back there.
Yep. Love that. All right, let's go to Shalini. Shalini, I know you have some great advice for us as well. What's your best advice for removing blocks when it comes to revenue?
So obviously, as the CPA, I have to be a bit more on the practical side of things. The mindset, for sure. Like if you're afraid to look at your numbers and you don't want to know what your numbers are, we have to work on your mindset first and foremost.
Yeah.
But what are your numbers telling you? What is the story of what's working and not working in your business? And all of this is going to come from your bookkeeping predominantly. And so are your numbers telling you a story, and are you listening to that story? So in our world, we say that there's a difference between revenue, profit, and cash flow. So you might have sales, but not have cash flow, or you might have sales, but not have profit. So we need to understand what's really happening in your business. And there are potentially 16 different things to look at. There's 16 what we call drivers behind revenue, profit, and cash flow. So let me first maybe just take a moment to explain the difference between the three. Revenue is what you sell. It's what you receive from your clients. Profit is what you sell minus your expenses. So think of your subscriptions, your office expenses, staffing, that type of thing. So your bottom line is your profit, but profit doesn't equal cash flow. And cash flow is what you get to keep. So sometimes it's not so much that we have a block with revenue. Maybe our money management or some of our policies and procedures around collections needs to be improved. All of this is going to be told to you by your numbers, because in the accounting world, we can look at ratios, we can look at trends, we can look at the numbers in different ways. And so as I said, there's potentially 16 different things that we can analyze within your business to help figure out what's not working and then fix it.
I love that. So I wrote down that I think that would be a good class to teach also, is not only how to fall in love with your numbers, but how to collect invoices. Like, how hard is that as an entrepreneur, small business owner? Like, people owe you money, and there's a block for that too, right? There's a way that, oh my gosh, I don't want them to not like me, or I don't want to lose this account. So, if it's 30 days late, it's 30 days late. So I think that is phenomenal. And I love that there could be blocks with each one of those things. The cash flow could be a block, the profit, if I make too much profit, or even like the revenue, like that. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Shalini. I know that all these tips are going to help so much. I was like, and Judith put, yes, there's integrity and energy in the exchange of money. And that is something that I think what you just wrote, Judith. So Judith just wrote, there's integrity and energy in the exchange of money. That was something that helped me shift when I had a PR agency before I started FemCity. Going back to collecting that invoice from clients, I had to really connect in my mind that in essence, I wasn't asking for them to just give me money. I was asking for the exchange of what I had already given. And once you frame it like that, it opens up the way you feel about your money, because there's always an exchange of, I'm going to give you this, and in return, I'm going to get that. And sometimes it's friendship. Sometimes like, I'm going to be there supporting you, and in exchange, you're going to give me some love, right? We have it in all of our relationships, value and worth. Love it. All right. Wrapping it up, Amy Woods, how can Fems find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world?
You can go to www.womenchoosingexcellence.com, or you can email me at amywoodscoaching@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Judith, how can Fems find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world?
The easiest way is to connect with me at judith@judithrichey.com. Judith@judithrichey.com. I've got a website being redone right now, and I've been taking a social media break for my my own sanity and working on that. So Judith@judithrichey.com.
Love that. Love that. And a little plug in there for mental health. Absolutely. Shalini, how can femmes find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world?
The best way is Instagram. I'm probably the most active on Instagram. So it's just at Dharna CPA, and register for my upcoming webinar, Own a Machine, Not a Job, which is actually going to go over those 16 drivers that I was talking about.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, for those that are watching, if you guys have any questions at all, I don't see any comments or questions, you can reach out to any of us at any time. We want to see you flourish and grow and prosper in all ways. And if you've never heard of FemCity and like to try it out, head over to FemCity.com for a free 30-day trial membership waiting for you. Mwah! See you next week. Bye-bye.